And we welcome you to the Evansville courts, the home of the Evansville Hawks. The Centerton Racers take on the Hawks. This is going to be a good one. Take a look at Isaiah Hill for the Hawks. I mean, not for the Hawks, for the Racers. This season, really good guy overall and a really good player. Time to take a look at the lineups. Ladd, Webster, Dunbar, Miller, Hill for the Racers. Elijah King, Cunningham, Duke Carnes, and a couple others for the Evansville Hawks. Here we go. Here we go from Evansville. We are underway. Here's Trey Cunningham with it. Back to Sotomayor, back to Carnes. Pass to Kirby. Justin Kirby will miss the three. Hill with the rebound. Back to Webster. Cam Webster gives it back to Ladd. Jay Sean Ladd has the ball now. Ladd gives it to Hill. Isaiah Hill looks up and he will miss the shot. Cunningham with the rebound. Cunningham with it. Keeping it himself. Pass to King. Here's Elijah King. Back to Carnes. Carnes back to Kirby. Justin Kirby for two. Hawks will score first. Here's Ladd. Jay Sean Ladd. Looks back to Miller, back to Hill. Here's Brennan Miller. He will touch out of bounds. Evansville ball. Yesterday we had a good game from Galloway. 48-41. It was the Danville Pioneers winning that one. Now here's Cunningham with the ball. Back to Elijah King. Back to Kirby. Justin Kirby for three. The Evansville Hawks look really good. Here is Dunbar. Back to Ladd. Jay Sean Ladd. The pass. Oh, and he will just throw it off of the defender. It's Stoudemire who he throws it off of. And it's back to Centerton, who will get the ball first. Who will get the ball. Here's Ladd. Back to Dunbar. Pass to Webster. Cam Webster looks. Keeping it himself. He will miss. King with the rebound. Here's Cunningham. Back to Kirby. Kirby, Stoudemire now. Here's Carson Stoudemire. Passing Carnes. Duke Carnes for three. The Hawks are up by 8. Here's Webster. Back to Dunbar. Cooper Dunbar will miss the three. Stoudemire back to Kirby. Here's Kirby. Pass to Carnes. Back to King. King under fire. Now it's Kirby again. Kirby takes it himself. Will miss. Isaiah Hill with the rebound. Hill looking to keep it himself. Back to Ladd. Back to Hill now. Hill looks. Webster fires for three. It's Cam Webster. Stoudemire gives it to Cunningham. Back to Stoudemire. Here's Carnes. Duke Carnes goes, misses. Ladd with the rebound. Here is Miller. Brennan Miller for two. Momentum shifting now to Centerton. 8-0 start for the Hawks. Now it is 8-5. Timeout Evansville. The Hawks up by 3. So Hawks are in 6th. in this. Justin Kirby misses the Kirby looks, steps back, misses a shot. Brennan Miller with the rebound. Here's Isaiah Hill. Back to Miller. Now it's Webster. Grady Gardner is also out there. And Silas Smith. Cam Webster fires, misses a three. Justin Kirby rebound. Here's Vincent Harper. Pass back to Kirby. Kirby to Carnes. Back to Stoudemire. Kirby. Justin Kirby for three. A nice shot by Kirby. Now here's Silas Smith. Smith looks under fire now. Here's Webster. Keeping himself. Now it's Miller. Brennan Miller misses a three. Trey Harper is his other name. It's actually Vincent Harper, but his nickname is Trey. Trey Harper has the ball now. Harper looks. He loses it. Webster seals it away. Back to Gardner. Back to Hill. Hill looks. Keeps it. Misses the shot. And Evansville has the lead in this one. 11-7. Coming back from the Evansville court. Coming up in the second quarter. We welcome you back here from Evansville. Billo Diallo gives it to Grady Gardner. Gardner back to Dunbar. Cooper Dunbar will miss a three. Davis Baker with the rebound. Here's Baker back to Gordon. Jackson Gordon gives it to King. Back to Wolfley. Trenton Wolfley misses. Tips back to Wolfley. He misses. Here's Irwin. He has the ball. Dunbar back to Gardner. Here's Gardner back to Dunbar. Dunbar looks. Here's Irwin. Dunbar has it. Dunbar keeps it. Spins. Keeps it. Scores. Timeout, Evansville. The Hawks will call the timeout. Welcome back to Evansville. Here we go. Dunbar coming back on the court here for the Racers. Here's Cunningham. Trey Cunningham has it now. Cunningham has the ball. Pass back to Wolfley. Trenton Wolfley for three. Nice shot by Wolfley. Here's Dunbar. Cooper Dunbar looks. Back to Gardner. Grady Gardner has time, has room, but now it's Diallo. Now it's Irwin. Irwin will miss. Cunningham rebound. Back to Wolfley. The pass to Cunningham. Back to Harper. Trey Harper has it. Harper, back to Wolfley. Back to Harper. Harper spins, shoots, misses. Garrett Irwin with the rebound. Now here's Dunbar. Dunbar looks. Dunbar pass to Ladd. Ladd will miss. King rebound. Here's Cunningham. Cunningham back to Harper. Trey Harper for three. Garrett Irwin back to Cooper Dunbar. Here is Dunbar. Timeout, Centerton. The Racers down 17-9. As we see the Hawks have a great game so far here in the second. We are back from the Evansville Center. Points allowed per game for their opponents. Terre Haute Arrows lead that list. Of course, their defense is really good. Coming up in a couple weeks, it's the Huskies and the Arrows. Miller gives it back to Hill. Hill gives it back to Sprong. Here's Miles Sprong with it. Miles Sprong will miss the three. Kirby rebound. The pass to Harper. Back to Cunningham. Trey Cunningham with it. Up the middle. Keeps it for two. Here's Miles Sprong now. Pass to Brennan Miller. The pass back to Ladd. Jay-Sean Ladd to Brennan Miller. Miller looks. The shot is up and it's good. The Racers will score. Here's Cunningham. The big pass, Curry. Curry puts it in. Here's Miles Sprong. Sprong, pass to Gardner. Back to Ladd. Here's Sprong again. Here's Gardner now. Gardner to Hill. Isaiah Hill, covered by Harper. He will put it in. Now it is the Hawks' turn on offense. Cunningham to Stoudemire. Back there. Now here's Cunningham again with the ball. Back to Harper. Trey Harper looks, misses. Hill with the rebound. Here's Sprong. Back to Ladd. To Miller. Miller back to Hill. Isaiah Hill running it up. Now it's Miller. Brennan Miller misses. Stoudemire rebound. Harper back to Cunningham. The Treys are on the court. Trey Cunningham will miss a three. Isaiah Hill with the rebound. Here's Sprong. Looks. Sprong back to Hill. Back to Sprong. Miles Sprong drains the three. Stoudemire to Wolfley. Wolfley from deep misses a three. 21-16. We are going to halftime.
The visiting team, 16.
We are going to the Nova Rain halftime show. We welcome you to today's Nova Rain halftime show. It's a really good game from Evansville. Take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, however. Danville sits fourth after a win yesterday. How about the Centerton Racers and the Plainfield Thunder 1 and 2? The Evansville Hawks on the bubble, though, of making it to the play-in. Also in the play-in, how about the Terre Haute Orange Cats? The Orange Cats look really good. The shot there was... the shot there was a good shot, didn't go. Take a look at all these misses, though, by both teams. Both teams have had great shots, but have missed a lot. Brennan Miller looked really good this game. Let's send it back out to Evansville. Justin Kirby, the top performer for the Hawks. We welcome you back to the Evansville court, the home of the Evansville Hawks. Before we get back going, let's take a look at Justin Kirby's first half. Really good game from Justin Kirby. 10 points tonight. Really solid all-around player. He has a couple threes, a dunk, and we are back underway. Hill gives it back to Dunbar. Dunbar there. Ladd to Webster, back to Miller. Brennan Miller will miss the three. Hill rebound. Slow off the rim, doesn't go. Cunningham with it, puts it up for two, and the Hawks will score again. Here's Webster. Ham Webster looks. Pass back to Miller. Brennan Miller. Back to Webster. Cam Webster misses. Elijah King rebound. Big pass. Here is Carnes. Duke Carnes for two. Cooper Dunbar now with it. Dunbar has it back to Hill. Hill takes it himself. Covered there. Hill will drain it. Sallenmeyer gives it to Cunningham. Now Cunningham has it to King. King taking it himself. Covered by Hill. Here's Carnes. Carnes for two. The Hawks with a great first half. The Hawks with a great start to the third quarter and the second half. Here's Miller. Miller back to Dunbar. Cooper Dunbar has been really good this season. Cooper Dunbar for three. He makes those. Dunbar makes a three. It's a 6-point game. 6-point advantage, though, for the Hawks. Here's King. Back to Carnes. Duke Carnes misses a three. Miller rebound. Here's Dunbar again. Back to Hill. Isaiah Hill misses. Kirby rebound. Here's Cunningham. Cunningham looks. Back to Kirby. Pass to Carnes. Here's Justin Kirby again. Justin Kirby misses. Tipped. Back to the Hawks. Kirby with it. He looks. Misses a three. Almost rebounded again by Elijah King. Here's Dunbar. Pass back to Hill. The back to Ladd. Now Dunbar misses a three. Here's Kirby under fire from Hill. Kirby looks back to Stoudemire. Pass to Carnes. Duke Carnes will miss. Hill with the rebound. Here's Miller. Miller back to Ladd. Jay Sean Ladd. Pass back to Hill. Isaiah Hill for two. Hill puts it up for two. Here's Cunningham. Cunningham under fire. Back to Kirby. Justin Kirby for three. Timeout, Racers. Centerton calls a timeout. It's 30-23. Here we go. Taking a look at the big men. Christian Bryant on the arrows will look really good. Looks really good. Same as Nick Green. Nick Thunder Green, to be exact. Green has looked good all year. Miller gives it to Dunbar. Dunbar back to Hill. Isaiah Hill looks, misses. Stoudemire rebound. Now it's Trenton Wolfley with the ball. Wolfley looks, gives it to Kirby. Kirby keeps it himself for three, misses it. Webster has the ball. Here's Gardner. Great Gardner doesn't go. King rebound. Wolfley. Now Carnes. Duke Carnes for two. Duke Carnes in the second half. Man, that combination has been fantastic. Dunbar back to Hill. Back to Dunbar. Cooper Dunbar has it. Dunbar looks, misses a three. Here's Stoudemire. Pass, now here's Carnes. Duke Carnes for three. He is going off in the second half. He was non-existent in the first half. Second half, he's here. Here's Hill. Looks, he will make the two. 10-point game. Here's Carnes. Has the ball. Carnes looks. Looks to turn. Carnes still with it. Fake shot, keeps it himself, misses the shot. 10-point game entering the last quarter of play. The game isn't over yet, and we will tell you why in the fourth quarter. Welcome back to Evansville, the home of the Hawks. Here we go. If you remember from last week, Centerton was down on Carmel. They came back to send it to OT. Here's Jackson Gordon. He will score. Cunningham, Wolfley, Harper, Gordon, and Stoudemire are on the court for the Hawks. Here's Diallo. Back to Miller. Miller looks. Miller holds it back to Diallo, Ladd. Diallo, Ladd, Miller, Diallo, Ladd. It's Irwin. Garrett Irwin taking it himself. He will miss the shot. Trey Harper rebound. Pass back to Wolfley. Back to Cunningham. Trey Cunningham looks. Back to Harper. Trey Harper will miss the three. Brennan Miller with the rebound. Miller back to Irwin. Here's Garrett Irwin. Covered by Harper. Back to Miller. And it's a foul on Garrett Irwin. It's an illegal screen. Into the game for the Centerton Racers, Ray Green. Ray Green is on the court, and that is not good news for the Racers. Cunningham gives it to Harper. Harper looks back, and it is a dunk. Cunningham from Harper. What a dunk. The Hawks have momentum. They have all momentum, and they are flying high. Here's Diallo. Has the ball. Diallo to Miller. Miller under pressure from Harper. Miller will miss. Harper rebound. Here's Jackson Gordon. Pass to Cunningham. Cunningham for two. Nothing is going for the Centerton Racers. Isaiah Hill off the bench, looking like he's coming into the game. Here's Miller. Miller back to Gardner. Pass to Miller. Brennan Miller for three. Racers back on the board. And it's a timeout for the Evansville Hawks. This is a nice way to cool off after being hot in the fourth quarter. And we welcome you back here to Evansville. Into the game, Ladd, Webster, Dunbar, Miller, and Hill. That's for the Racers. Now, for the Hawks, Carnes, Kirby. Yeah, Carnes and Kirby go into the game. Here's Kirby. Pass back to Carnes. Carnes is on fire here in the second half. Carnes looks past to Kirby. Kirby will miss. Jay Sean Ladd with the rebound. The pass to Miller. Miller to Hill. Isaiah Hill with a slam. The Racers looking to come back in this game. Here's Carnes. Carnes for three. Drains it. Jay Sean Ladd with the ball now. He looks. Back to Webster. The pass to Hill. King covering. Hill will make the two-pointer. King to Cunningham. Back to Carnes. Carnes has open room. Now covered by Webster. Carnes inside the paint. Now it's King. King goes inside. Back out to Carnes. Carnes keeps it to Kirby. Justin Kirby will miss the three. Now it's Jay Sean Ladd with it. Ladd to Hill. Back to Dunbar. Hill should have taken it himself. Here's Dunbar. Gilbert Dunbar has it. Back to Ladd. Jay Sean Ladd will miss it. Kirby with the rebound. It was almost a rebound by Hill. Here's Cunningham. Pass to Carnes. Back to Kirby. Trey Cunningham with it. Cunningham keeps it himself. Drains the three. 47-32. Here's Dunbar. Dunbar looks. Back to Hill. Here's King. Elijah King there. Covering Hill. Isaiah Hill will miss the shot. Stoudemire to Cunningham. Here's Kirby. Kirby back to Cunningham. Keeps it himself. Back to Stoudemire. Back to Kirby. Justin Kirby misses the three. Hill rebound. Here's Brennan Miller. Webster has it. Holding the ball. And the Evansville Hawks dominate Centerton. Centerton had a chance, but it was all Evansville. Their momentum was no match for the Racers. The Hawks continue to fly high. Let's take a look at the player of the game for the Evansville Hawks. It's Justin Kirby. Kirby, really good player indeed. Really good game by him. Duke Carnes also went off in the second half.